Silas is incredibly strong when paired with the Golden Justice, so let's take a look at this combination. And on Chimps mode, this actually can do a lot on some very particular maps, such as Sanctuary for example, where we get a nice clean straight line to be able to shoot through many targets at once. So let's take a look at this on Sanctuary Chimps and try to get a whole lot of cash spare. Now this is actually an optimized run. I was going to record and, well, I did record and upload a run of 69,000 cash spare, but I actually thought that that wasn't good enough and we were going to rerun it and try to get a lot more, and I did get a good amount more than that, so you'll kind of see that at the end, or actually I'm probably going to put it in the thumbnail, whatever. Anyways, it was 84,000 cash spare, which is a pretty large amount, and I kind of want to talk about that later. But Silas is just really strong, and it's pushing more into power creep, especially with Absolute Zero, which is just like a really strong tower. Not only in one aspect, it will stop ceramics, slow down moabs, halt like ZVMGs, everything, even like help clean up with a round 100 when the round 100 bad opens up. And this is something that I'm gonna talk a little bit later, but this power creep is kind of getting a little bit insane with this update, and I definitely think it needs to be slowed down. Next update should be an update full of nerfs. But either way, starting out with this run, I'm going to be going for this downdraft. That's going to be very useful in many aspects for the early game, and then it's also going to be blowing back ceramics so the Golden Justice won't chase one random ceramic, which is pretty crucial. And then with just two 1-0 snipers, I can get into Silas with the Ice Monkey, and I'm just going to be buying camo upgrades on the heli instead of the sniper, just to cut a little bit of cost, and eventually I'll be able to make my way back into Icicle. So this is pretty well optimized. You might be able to cut a 1-0 upgrade on one of those snipers, but that would take a lot of work, and I'm not really interested in that. So other than that, I think this is fully optimal. Now going into the mid game, I'm going to be going for the Desperado down there. That's going to be the Golden Justice, and it's going to shoot up instead of shooting down from the top. I'm putting it up there because if it is at the top, it's going to go into the pistol attack, which is what I don't want it to do, because when it does that, it stops shooting its rifle, and that's just a big issue. That's just a ton of wasted damage. They should do something so that it won't like revert to the pistol attack, just like straight up get rid of it, or at least make it like comparably strong in a way for these towers. And that's also especially annoying with like the Desert Phantom. The Blazing Sun really is the only tower that doesn't kind of have to deal with that issue. So that's something that just kind of annoys me, so I have it down here to take advantage of that. And plus I think this spot is generally just a little bit better, so that's why I ended up going for it. Now what I was talking about with the power creep is that I was talking in Discord just like about this subject, and the Moab glue, it's a tower that's very good. You all know it. You basically get Moab glue in every single game because it's by default like the thing to slow down Moabs. It makes the whole game easier. It's a very cheap. You always get Moab glue, but I found myself not getting Moab glue very often anymore, which is kind of weird, because why would the best tower be not bought in Chimps games and still keep like good strong at least mostly optimal Chimps games? And that's just because other towers are straight up better than Moab glue, which kind of is a big realization of power creep. And a lot of these runs now that we're doing, they're like using not even that crazy good synergies and still pulling 60,000 cash spare. Like, it's not that difficult, which is kind of crazy, and there is definitely a big power creep stance in this update. It's not as bad as OP Geraldo, so that was version 31.0. They'd really have to do something crazy to make something worse than that. OP Geraldo, so version 31.0, and then Corvus, of course. When Corvus got released, those were the two most broken points of the game by far. So it's not like anything so crazy. There's been more broken eras of the power creep system and like when things are over buffed, but it is kind of up there, and I feel like things are too easy and there's too much pressure to get so much cash spare on runs, when a lot of times I kind of just want to play this game more in a chill manner and maybe get like 40,000 instead of having to push all the way for this. But I still went for it, and it still was actually kind of fun. It just gets a little annoying sometimes when you're trying to beg on RNG so much because you're working with so little. So that's kind of just what it was like for this run. Around 79 there actually took a really long time. I think that was the longest round that it took me to beat, just because I didn't have absolute zero up there. Once I got absolute zero, everything was fine. This tower is just like overly cracked. Of course, before what I was talking about with how Moab glue's not button runs, that's because a lot of these other stalling towers are just better. Like absolute zero is just better, and it will cover all the needs of the Moab glue, to the point where it's just not even worth buying it in the first place, which is kind of crazy. So when you have the Silas rhyme, and I don't know what the whatever part that Silas slows down the Moab, when you have that on top of absolute zero, ZOMGs literally just aren't going anywhere. It's like kind of, I think, around the equivalent of a super glue, which is just absolutely absurd for a tower that is so cheap. You can use the ability to take out a whole chunk of DDTs, and on top of that it will stop ceramics in their place. So it's kind of just crazy, and I've been rambling on a bit, but yeah, the Golden Justice, I'll talk about it a little bit later, I guess, in the last section of the video, but it's doing a lot of work here too. So going on to the late game, round 95 was actually pretty tough. This one took a long time. There was a lot of RNG because it's just a very RNG tower. It can shoot down the straight line, but if it doesn't get the crit in time, or something just sneaks by the downdraft and then the Golden Justice gets distracted, it doesn't work very well. So most of the time the runs, just something small sneak past Golden Justice, started shooting something else, and then everything went through. I couldn't just set it on strong, because if it was set on strong, then it would start prioritizing things that are kind of like way far back, and it wouldn't get the straight line. So that was a little bit annoying, but I eventually got through it with enough RNG. And then for these other rounds like 96, it's just praying that you get good timings with the absolute zero ability, you get good crits, and the downdraft can handle everything that goes through its way. For the ability, the bounty hunter ability that will extend the range, I was either using that on the Golden Justice so that it had the range to see up to the top, or I would use that on the Absolute Zero to give it more range to get the ceramics and for more slow. Round 98 was actually very, very beautiful. This round was a lot easier than 94, which is kind of interesting. The Golden Justice kind of just demolishes the whole thing, and it isn't even that close. This was almost pretty bad because I was stalling that round 98, but I used the ability level 10 Silas ability very late. However, luckily with enough RNG, I saved it and I was able to beat round 99 without that ability, which was pretty cool, I guess. I just had to bring all these ceramics up here and stall this out with the downdraft, which is not very hard, and then I'll have everything up for 100. I just need these two abilities right here, and then the Golden Justice will destroy the bad. Normally it will take it out very fast. This was kind of unlucky, but it doesn't really matter. I didn't need a whole lot of luck. It was actually one of the worst cases that you could get to have it pop that late, but just freeze everything, beat that like second try, no worries whatsoever on that round 100, and we finished with 84,000 cash spare. The Golden Justice taking a bit over half of that, but the Icicles got 500k. That's like kind of crazy. It's a little bit of a crazy tower, I would say, with Silas and Absolute Zero. Anyways, Silas and Absolute Zero is a bit of a menace.
Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!